Welcome to Reminding Eve's Listening Room, a place where you can come to be reminded that you are a child of the divine. You are heaven on earth, and you hold the power and ability to bring order and beauty out of chaos. My angels, here we are, and it is learning time. Love my little bell. Wow. Okay, so this is it. This is the first official episode on Spotify. And I'm Autumn, the founder of Reminding Eve. We're jumping off the diving board into the deep waters of our root system with this first series. I'm going to tell you all about it. It's called Rebloom. And I'm also going to tell you a true story. But first, I need to tick all of the boxes and introduce myself to those who have no clue who I am. I transferred into the University of Oxford to finish my studies in ancient Hebrew and ancient Near Eastern studies, which is where I have been hiding for the last couple of years amidst the fires of hell, trying to kill my spirit, which was unsuccessful. And not only that, but again, my angels, the fires are what make us flourish. The fires are what solidify our being. And I would do it all again. And I cannot believe that I'm saying that, but I would do it all again to feel and be how I am now. My faith has never been stronger or more alive. This podcast and all my studies, which, by the way, if you go into ancient Near Eastern cosmologies or ancient Hebrew, you don't go 5 seconds without running into demonology and angelology, which is a bottomless cup of wonder, a chalice of delight that I love everything I ever come across on, be it literature, or podcast, anything. I just love it. I'm really drawn to that unseen world. We're going to get into all kinds of crazy stuff on this podcast. But what is the word? Freebase? We're freebasing theology. Okay, so I'm going to share first the revelation that I had with you. And I don't know, I'm going to have to get myself a different table because my table's funny. Anyways, I may tweak things as I go, but never mind. Off we go. So my angels, when, 2019, I had gone to lay down just to have a nap and did that. And as I was getting up from my nap, I had an open vision, and I'm going to describe it to you the best way that I know how. If you've ever been to a planetarium or an IMAX kind of concave screen, when I sat up from I was just kind of propping myself up with pillows, I had this open vision of the cosmos. It was like the stars and the planets, and it was like I was just suspended in space, but I was, as an observer, I was watching from kind of back here, and I was just drawn into this vision. And I saw a man with his back to me, and he had that kind of crazy hair, kind of like Einstein, and I just saw him from the back, but he was standing in front of this upright piano, and it was like he and this piano just suspended in the cosmos, and then I'm standing back here and I'm just watching. And as I'm watching, he takes his hands and he just starts banging on the keys, like banging, like total chaos, just really. And in the moment, it all happened so fast, but it was like just that chills. Have you ever watched a kid just hit a piano or just heard that, and it just kind of goes through you? And it was shrilling, and I watched that, and then the kind of sound just got dissonant, and then he takes his hand and he turns over his shoulder like this, so he's So he's looking at me, and he's turned around and he's looked at me, and he takes his thumb and he just hits the root note of what is a triad, okay? So he hits a root note, and it rings out, and as the key rings out, I hear this voice sing out, who am I? Like that. And then he takes his index finger and he just, hits the third, and as the note rings out, I hear, who are you? Like that. And then the third, or the fifth, he hits the fifth, and I hear, what's the cause? And it just kind of rings out. And again, I can't really describe his voice, but it just went through me, and I kind of didn't know what to do. I just lay there, and it was so profound. I remember thinking, did that just happen? Am I asleep? Am I awake? I actually remember thinking, am I dream? Like what? But I was totally awake. And so I just kind of cracked on with I don't know. I remember I had a dream journal. I wrote it in my journal, but I kind of just went on about the day, and maybe shared it with somebody later in a group. So that revelation, okay. The reason I'm telling you that story is because over the next 5 years, COVID hit the next year. And then I started to go through a real dismantling. I think many of us did. A dismantling of systems, religious systems, family systems. Our structures just started to fall apart. Church, school systems started to be questioned. As we had to homeschool. Obviously, government, every societal structure just started to shake and be questioned and dismantled. And the bits that weren't working, that was the time, right? They started to be exposed. Well, okay, we were in that mode, and I believe that represented when God was banging on that piano. It was chaos and uncomfortable shrilling, just unease, deep unease. And we all have been through that time, and I don't know how profoundly your world has been dismantled or where you feel like you're at in that. In reality, it was just a huge scale of what we all experience in cycles in small scales and will do throughout our life, because the Creator is a creator of order, of divine order. And when humanity and our societal structures become so contaminated that it's producing more evil than good, that's when you have divine intervention. So that happens on macrocosm, global levels, but also just right in our households. We see these in our microcosms. So those three questions. So every class, every lecturer, every tutor, every book, every bit of research, every paper I turned in, conversations, all of it you could boil it down to the three questions that God, the Creator, sang to me in that one revelation that happened just minutes. It was minutes. Who is God? Who am I? What's the cause? These three questions have haunted me, driven me, and framed the work that I'm about to give you. The revelation led to the series called Rebloom, and it is a 12-part series, and each question is answered in 4 parts. So there's going to be 4 episodes addressing who is God, 4 addressing who am I, what is our identity, and 4 addressing what's the cause, what are we here for, what are we fighting for, what are we living for, what are we dying for, what is humanity doing? And all of these questions are the very questions that God, I truly believe this, every bit of me. I'm not hyping this up. I believe this is for such a time as this. This is going to aid you in your own rebuilding process, and it's a foundational reset. So some of you guys, many of you guys who I've talked with on social media, you have been in some tricky church environments. You are leaders yourselves, and some of you guys are supposed to start movements. Some of you are, in Christianese, we have the prophets, apostles, teachers, evangelists, all these different leadership roles within the body of Christ. A lot of you guys who follow me are those people. And you're drawn to this because one of the biggest, I think, marks in my own calling is about leadership. And my mantra is, you have to lead yourself well. Lead yourself well. Part of my dissertation was about the God of the seed. The God of the seed. And the seed and the fruit, right? So replication. So who you are is what you replicate. So why would you want to do this series? Because you need to be, if you are a leader in any capacity, I don't care if you're a leader in business, if you're a leader of your family, if you're a mom and you lead your children, if you're a single person and you are just learning to lead yourself well, or you lead a team, or whatever, you are a leader. And everything that goes inside of you will come out of you in some way, shape, or form. So this is not a big moral exploration. That's not what this is, okay? What I believe is that you and I need to know the answer, at least, the foundations. Because obviously it goes without saying, God is beyond us. He is incomprehensible in ways, but he has allowed us to comprehend exactly enough that we need to know. And the rest of it we can ask for, okay? Truthfully. You can have as much as you want, but the foundation that's under our feet, that is what needs to be looked at. That is what right now the whole world is waiting for. The whole world is waiting for leadership to arise again. And I'm going to get into it, but I want to address first, like so the timing of this is crazy, but I do listen to all kinds of stuff on YouTube, and I've been hearing so many people, going, we're crying out for revival in America and revival around the world. And what is revival? So in case you're joining this and you're like, I don't know Christianese, and I is that where they go around and do the sermons? And revival, in its definition, it's like a concentrated outpouring of God that produces repentance. It revitalizes. The word revival itself means to live again. So effectively, what people are doing right now, especially after the death of Charlie Kirk and so much that's going on in America in particular, which the whole globe is watching, by the way, is it's causing the church in America to cry out for revival and to believe that Charlie Kirk, his life was like a seed. It says, Christ says, lest a seed fall to the ground. And that concept, again, is it's an agricultural analogy of death and rebirth. So that revival is the rebirth from that death. So it's a bit of the saying is it's delicate, because it's like saying Charlie Kirk was an offering, a death offering unto rebirth. This is, so all that to say, I want to give a really good, I want to support that revival is certainly an amazing thing to receive, okay? So do I believe that revival is what America needs? No. Do I believe revival is a good thing and it cannot hurt to cry out and pray for revival? yeah, it can't hurt at all. It's not going to hurt anywhere, okay? But if you're crying out for something right now, I believe that it's reformation that is needed more than revival. And what is reformation? So reformation is really, it's a rebuilding of truth, of structure and scaffolding. Theologically, that's what it is. When we get so caught up. Well, so hang on, let me just back up for a second. Why do I feel like this revival versus reformation? And let me just say, they can both be going on at the same time, and God can do whatever he wants to do. But I'm cautious that what we mean by revival is, I'm actually just get me out of here. Finish this. Let's be done with this. Well, yeah, we all want to be done with the division and the hatred and the problems. But the problem with that is that that's a lazy methodology. It's a lazy approach to a solution, because we are the solution to ending that hatred, to ending that division, to ending the violence. We are the solution. So are what we really saying, if we're being honest, God, pour out your spirit and just do the work and just make everybody repent so that we just all get on with it, right? So things can be good. And I want to suggest to you that God's not going to do that. He doesn't work that way. And if you think that way, then you have, unfortunately, a very outdated theology. And I'm not being rude. I'm not attacking anybody or trying to say anybody is just unenlightened. It's not like that. I think I know exactly why we cry out for revival. I know exactly why we want God to just do some things. Why do we want miracles? Why do we want these things? Well, I would suggest to you, it's because we need reformation. We need to relearn who is God, who am I, and what's the cause. If you don't know your own power, if you don't realize that you are the one who is supposed to bring order out of the chaos, that you are godlike in this world, you are the solutionist, you are the creative, godlike being who is supposed to address all these things and make the world beautiful and organized. And yes, God's going to pour his spirit out. And yes, he's going to do divine intervention on the way. But my lovelies, we are playing the long game here. And I don't know if you've noticed, but every time somebody comes and goes, Jesus is coming back, and, or whatever, it doesn't happen. And I wasn't actually going to have this introductory episode be about this, but I'm just going to go with this if this is where the Spirit's going. I really want to, as I become the older woman now, I really want to be a mother with a voice of calm and reason and faith, for sure. I can be the most imaginative, ridiculous. I love getting caught up in revelation and wonder, and certainly love the unseen and all that is the kingdom of God, right? And we'll get into that in the last few episodes in really great detail. But what I'm saying is I love all of that. But what I see and what I know from raising children is that you need the tools and the skills and the infrastructure that is going to hold up over time. And that's really what the Judeo-Christian text is offering us. And you couldn't have, I now have read a lot of ancient texts and a lot of cosmologies and a lot of origin stories and a lot of other philosophy and theology. And you can't, listen, this is the truth. What is my conclusion? The biblical text is the most profound literary piece of work in all of existence. And it's held up over time, not for no reason. And when you go back to it, certainly the way I've done, go back into Genesis, Bereshit, in the beginning, and you read what was written. Its wisdom is manifold, timeless, eternal. You can revisit it, and it's like fresh bread, new life. Oh, it's all right there. Oh, why didn't I read this? And this is why all the reformations have happened throughout history, because it's not going to get better than that. But I don't think you know, like a lot of people, what it actually says. And some of you do. But I'm surprised at how little we talk about the wonder that is in those pages. And I just think also that the Spirit is actually opening a new access to revelation right now. There's almost like this, maybe where we didn't approach all of this and go back to the beginning. Maybe there's just been certain keys that have unlocked certain, doors and revelation doors that are now being accessed. So certainly for me anyways, I intend to keep what is a very spiritual in nature podcast super grounded. And I love that. That's my happy place. In fact, Eden, right? Eden was a place of overlap. It's heaven on earth. And that's what I really want this podcast and this space to be for you. So like kind of a feeling like coming home, which is something I didn't have for most of my life, that feeling of home. And it's pretty cool once you learn all of this and you can create that home for yourself, within yourself first. So that's the revelation, that's the podcast, that's the series, that's the timing of it all. The biblical text says creation is groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters of the Creator. And oh my God, you are a child of the divine. I am a child of the divine. I am a daughter of the divine. You are a daughter or a son of the divine. And He is going to move mountains right now in your life to teach you what that means. He's put me through the fires. I believe this truly, to bless me. He is going to bless me, but also to bring you this wine, this information, this legacy. And he's doing that because he is committed to you, to your health, to your healing, to your wholeness. And I really believe that this reformation, this foundational revisit that we're about to get into, are you so excited? Because I'm so excited. It is going to bring order and restoration, that is going to bring structure and scaffolding, so that when that revival hits, when people, whatever it is that you imagine to be happening, there are going to be structures in place, ordered structures. We're going to be in unity in order to really take in this great harvest, if you will, which I think that's a bit of, again, I think that's a concept that we need to relook at. But anyways, I'm physically making myself hold back from going there. But we certainly need this. We need unity. We need good, solid structure in order for whatever is coming. Okay. And do you know what's funny? I'll tell on myself here. I did a little, all the conversations about AI going around right now. The future is AI. And I love AI, by the way. And I'm not scared of it. And also, by the way, God's not scared of it. I don't know if you realize that. God's not sitting in his eternal home going, geez, what are we going to do about this? Like, AI is getting really advanced. Like, just think about that. It's the level of fear is just beyond. Anyways, I used AI to do its own, to do a statistical analysis for me about Reformation versus revival. So the question I asked was, hey, ChatGPT, could you give me the bottom line? And I had already been looking through definitions about Reformation and revival and just really looking at kind of what is our terminology for this. I said, in order to deal with the coming both threats and advantages of AI, if you were to take everything going on globally right now within our beautiful earth, and you looked at the church as the mechanism through which God expects to bring order and to bring beauty, what is more needed, reformation or revival, in order to deal with you effectively in the future, AI? And it did its computations, and it came out with reformation 75 to 85% more helpful, revival 35 to 45% of what's needed. Best outcome, both. Revival supplies why and will, but reformation supplies how and guardrails. So 75 to 85%, both are needed, of course, but 75 to 85% statistically, it shows that reformation right now is what we needed. Anyways, I will actually put this link. There's a chart here. I'll put just a little free link if you want to look over all the different dimensions that it addresses as to why that is true. But this series has everything you need to walk into the future, to be a part of this movement of the era of Elijah, to stop the hatred and division and to bring unity, and to sweep out the old, dusty, religious mindsets that really keep us shackled, that are really counterproductive. And I'm just going to say, I think after you do this series with this foundation, I'm going to make a really big claim, but I believe you're going to be the most vibrant, abundant, and whole that you have ever been in your life. And this is just the beginning, my angels. This is just the beginning. So, having said all of that, I'm Autumn. I love you. You are a child of the divine, and this is all custom made for you. So if you've made it through this podcast and you are ready to go and start your journey, then I'm going to post episode 1 shortly after this one. So you'll be able to start going on that journey. And always feel free to email me if you want. autumnfox@remindingeve.com is my email, and I will answer messages as I get them. And I love you guys so much. Can't wait to see you here next time. Love you. And remember that you are stronger than you know, and you are created to bring order out of chaos. Okay. All right, my angels. Where's that bell? Where's that bell? Learning time is over.